Hello, Dave here. I'm with my wife, Cathy.
Hello.
And we're standing in the garden because it's Game of Thrones time.
Yes.
And we have a really strange habit of standing in the garden before the episodes.
Yeah, just so we're
Why
out
do we do this again?
just so we're outside, so we're not just sitting inside.
Oh, that's right, because our podcast is supposed to be where we walk home from the movies.
Yeah.
But we don't do that for Game of Thrones. So this is the penultimate episode, as they say.
Yes, and it's called Beyond the Wall. We just saw.
Yeah, so I'm guessing it's probably going to take place beyond the wall.
I hope
so.
so.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And this episode has been available for about a week. Is it a week?
It got leaked. So it accidentally got broadcast by HBO Spain. I feel really bad for whoever.
I know, someone's head rolled.
Or they were burned alive
They were
by a
something
dragon.
something bad happened to them.
So it's
and we're
been
really
out there.
sympathetic because we both work in TV.
Yes.
I don't know how. I don't understand how a Game of Thrones episode can be leaked though. Like, people have to sign non-disclosure agreements around these things. Like, it's
just
Game
a
of Thrones
mistake.
is insane
Like,
security.
it wasn't on purpose. Somebody just made a massive mistake, I would say.
Yeah, but how? Anyway, that's a story for another day. But we didn't watch it. We waited till today to watch it.
Although I know people who have, and they were very excited.
They were very excited. But for me, like, it sounds really pious, and don't get me wrong, like, in my time I have not always watched things legally. But with this, first of all, we have the means to watch it because we have Sky. And secondly, there's so few water cooler shows left in the world. And this is such an expensive show.
Yeah.
And this is a show that drives weekly talk, and like, it's basically it's a boost for the whole industry, and it's a boost for everyone who likes to actually watch live TV and not have things dumped on them like Netflix do, which I really don't like. Like, that's always
Support HBO.
like, they don't need the money, whatever. As I said, we already have Sky, so we could have downloaded it and it would make no difference to them. But I just think I so hate the method of Netflix dumping programs and no one ever talking about them. I love the weekly conversation about Game of Thrones, and I love that everyone in the UK watches it on a Monday together and everyone tweets about it at the same time.
It does feel that event television is becoming the domain of entertainment shows, like reality shows.
Yeah, it's not common with drama.
Less so for drama.
Anyway, we're totally off topic, and you need to get to work, and we need to watch this episode. So yes, the penultimate episode.
The morning again.
Penultimate episode. So Game of Thrones is a history of really, really good penultimate episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Sean
then-
Bean's head being chopped off.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Was the Red Wedding a penultimate? It was.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. The Battle of the Bastards. They're the 3 seasons I've seen. Oh no, I haven't seen the Red Wedding. So yeah, anyway, we better go and watch this, but we're expecting a lot from this
What do
episode.
you think is going to happen?
I think they're going to go beyond the wall,
Yeah,
and I
that's
think
definitely
they're
gonna
going to
happen.
meet some White Walkers.
I mean, they're going there to get a White Walker,
Yeah.
which I maintain is a really stupid
Yeah, the
plan.
stupidest plan of all time.
We should have a quick mention to some of the feedback we had from last week. Thank you for everybody who wrote in. We had another correction, but only one correction despite all the errors we made.
Yeah. People are just sick of us.
Thanks to Rachel for tweeting us and pointing out that it's Gilly, not Tilly. Wait.
Yes.
Oh wait, is
Gilly
it Tilly,
or
not
Gilly?
Gilly?
No, it's
Oh no!
it's Gilly or Gilly, not Tilly, Sam's girlfriend.
What did we
So
say?
thank you.
Tilly.
We called her Tilly. Yeah. So thank you,
Did we just
Rachel.
get it wrong again? So it's Gilly, not Gilly.
I'm not sure
Her
how to
name's
pronounce
Gilly.
that. Okay. Thank you, Rachel, anyway, for correcting us. And come on, let's go.
Yes, and you can also send future corrections for all the things we're about to get wrong
Yeah.
into @theCinemile on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. Just search the Cinemile.
Okay, we really need to watch. You have to get to work.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, bye.
Ooh, a lot happened there.
A lot happened there, and it's funny as we were watching it. First of all, it was amazing, and then I was thinking, actually, this would be easier to do a podcast about because we're only following 3 stories.
Yeah, there's only 3 sort of sections to talk
Yeah,
about.
last week was so hard. There was 4 of us trying to decipher all the plot that was happening last week.
We have way fewer notes this time. So the 3 sort of... we're going to do it by area. So we'll talk a little bit about what happened at Winterfell with Arya and Sansa. We'll talk about a bit what happened with Dragonstone with Tyrion and Dany.
And then what happened beyond the
Beyond
wall.
the wall where all the action was.
But
And that's
overall
gonna take a while.
impression, it was shocking. I guess as every episode is this season now. There was a bit of a lull last week. It was
A
incredible.
lot happened. I mean, arguably too much happened for the space of that episode. I think
that's my feeling as well. I wish it wasn't being like what we've said has been really good about it being condensed into 7 episodes is that everything's been really sped up. But it's almost like
this is too sped up.
Yeah,
this felt like you could have got 3 episodes worth of material out of this.
Yeah,
and it would have actually had room to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of what happened in this episode was so good that it was almost lost because it was just happening in and around it.
Yeah, there was too much.
Do you know what I mean?
Stuff.
It was overshadowed by the other stuff.
And so much spectacle on top of the relationship stuff, and I would have liked the spectacle and the relationship stuff. Like, I would like to have Arya and Sansa and Jon and Daenerys stuff like a little bit separate, like you said, give it time to breathe, because that's stuff we've been waiting for.
The whole second half of that just sped along so fast, both in terms of like the time in the show and actually what was happening. There was too much to process. I think it actually suffered. So
it was long as well, right? We think it was longer than a normal episode, like about 8 minutes longer.
It felt like a
which
bit
is
longer,
a lot in a show if you consider some shows are only 20 minutes long.
But let's tackle it, right? Let's get into it, because time is short.
So firstly, we did notice that we recognised the director's name, Alan Taylor. So I quickly Googled him, and he's like a real heavy hitter. So he directed...
Did he do Hard Home?
He's done, from what I quickly Googled, Lost, West Wing, Sex and the City, Sopranos, Mad Men, Deadwood. So he's like a heavy hitter in TV drama.
Oh, he didn't do Hard Home.
He might have.
This is not an exhaustive list. The Descent, I think. Anyway, go on.
So yeah, anyway, and we were expecting a lot, and we did get it. We got a true battle of ice and fire.
Yes.
Many
battles.
So first, Winterfell.
Let's talk about Winterfell. So this was Sister.
This was so weird. We were like, the relationship between Sansa and Arya.
It's gone a bit sour, hasn't it?
It's fascinating, and I'm really interested that it went there, because they're both coming from a place of, I've had a terrible life, all these terrible things have happened to me, which is so true for both of them. But it's like they've completely both lost any sort of ability to empathise. Like, neither can picture themselves, and neither's trying to picture or tell the other about what they've been through. It seems like everything's a challenge. Like, Arya's like, well, this happened to me, and she's like, well, this happened to me, and there seems to have been no point where they sat down and actually explained to each other, look, since I last met you, these are all the horrible things that I've done.
Yeah, but neither of them also want to speak those atrocities out loud, if you think about it. They're dealing with trauma, both of them. And also, crucially, what your sister Jackie said last week, and Jackie and Lizzie, thank you again for coming on, thought they were great. But Jackie pointed out that Arya and Sansa hated each other their whole lives. You know, there I guess in a serious animosity there, and you're starting to see all the things that they hated about each other come to the fore again.
And what happened is they got fight. I wouldn't say like, you know, young sisters fight, but you get over that, and those things don't matter. But they basically left each other at a crucial point when Arya was really young and Sansa was what, like 12 or 13. So they still have those childish squabbles, but they've now got adult resentment, and that's a very dangerous mix.
There's a rabbit.
Oh, cool.
And their formative experiences happened separately to each other, so they've become different people, but they're back in their family home.
But they're mean. Arya's mean, which I guess we've been so busy rooting for Arya for so long to destroy all these people that now when you see her being so destructive to someone in her family, it's really sad.
Well, it makes perfect. It's completely within her character. She deals with things through violence, and she deals with things through anger and hatred. Ever since she drew up that list, she's been on a mission for vengeance, and that's how she sees the world now.
Yeah, this does feel true to form, and like specifically, like from the off with these two, there's 4 scenes really, but Arya, straight from off the bat is trying to kind of imply she was her father's favourite, and you know, you probably don't remember, you were inside knitting, you don't remember that Dad used to stand here and he watched me sword fighting, and you know, I'm like, she's kind of talking about feminism in the world of Westeros. And
I thought this was a great speech. That was really evocative.
And she said, he's dead with your help. She's so angry at Sansa, but she won't let Sansa explain. Now, we know Sansa was weak-willed back then, but at the same time she was a child, and I really liked when Sansa said, well, you should be on your knees thanking me, you know. But then she's saying, while you were training I was suffering things you can't imagine. So they're both just trying to one-up each other, and it's so toxic. I actually, as someone who is very close to my sisters, found it very distressing to watch them be so horrible to each other.
But they're both characters who are not going to back down from an argument. Sansa has become someone who is hardened and bitter and will fight for herself because she's learned the hard way not to trust anybody.
Yeah, and it's down to her that like Winterfell is like Arya doesn't seem to understand at all diplomacy or the fact that what Sansa has achieved, because Arya just thinks Sansa should be just walking around murdering people.
Sounds like your team Sansa.
Well, I guess also it has been noted before, I've seen people saying that that Arya, the character, is quite young. Now, obviously, Maisie Williams has grown up over 7 years, so probably looks a lot older than she should, because really she's speaking like a petulant child in a lot of these scenes. And she's speaking like a hardened child who's been through fucking horrific stuff, like a child soldier. But she seems to have no concept of anything outside of her own experience. And she's carrying a really childish resentment towards Sansa, that Sansa's like... You kind of get the impression that, like, you know, Sansa's like prettier and, you know, all she ever wanted to do was... Like, she's disparaging her, saying all you ever wanted to do was marry a prince. But actually, that's a really normal goal for any teenage girl. That's not something to disparage somebody about. Whereas Arya's so cutting about it. Anyway, I'm waffling on. Yeah, sorry, we have to hurry up. That's like the opening scene. Right, Littlefinger and Sansa.
Yeah, but this has really annoyed me, this scene. Like, why is Sansa... Like, last episode, she was berating Littlefinger. She finally was done with his shit. She realises how manipulative she is, and suddenly she's confiding in him.
But I think it's because she's so shocked.
Right into his hand.
She's confiding in him because she's so shocked and hurt by Arya. Little does she think for a second... clearly, Arya got the scroll from Littlefinger. And then he's saying, "Let Brienne help you."
If she thought for 1 second, where would she have got the scroll from?
Yeah,
who was in King's Landing at that time? He's the only person, and he's the most manipulative person, and who benefits from them fighting.
She says, "I don't know Arya anymore," and he's like, "Ha ha ha ha."
Now he says, crucially, right? He says to her, "Get Brienne involved, right, as a bodyguard." So, what do you think his motives are here? Is he hoping that it's Brienne versus Arya, and then one of them dies, or what? Like,
no, because he knows Brienne would never fight Arya because she's sworn to serve both Stark girls.
Anyway, whatever happens, Sansa in the next scene gets an invitation to King's Landing, and decides to send Brienne. So what's her thinking there? I don't quite get that. She's done the opposite to what Littlefinger told her.
Yeah.
Which to me tells me that she isn't trusting him. But I feel like Sansa's got her own move here. I don't quite know what's happening.
I think this is not character motivated. I think they're trying to speed things along, and they need Sansa to be unprotected for some reason, and that's why they're getting rid of Brienne, because if something happened to Sansa when Brienne was there, as viewers, we'd be thinking that's not possible because Brienne would have minded her. So she said she'd like not even leaving what's his name? Podrick. She's not even leaving him behind, is she? Did Sansa swipe that away?
I don't know.
So yeah, anyway, Sansa's not impressed, and she basically thinks she's invincible. And then the last scene is Sansa, and now this is really interesting. Sansa finds the faces in Arya's bedroom, so she doesn't need to be in that crypt.
She finds her Mission Impossible bag.
Yeah. And she's like, "You keep faces in your bag," and Arya's like, "Yeah, now play a game with me, you bitch." And basically starts playing that game of truths with her that we saw.
Oh god,
in the last
we got
season.
horrible flashbacks to that boring house of no faces.
And she's saying, "I could become you." Like, it's really dark.
It got dark. She basically threatened to murder her and take her face, and I thought it might happen. I thought it was genuinely going that way.
But I think what this was more though was more Arya testing Sansa, and I think Sansa kind of was able to hold her own. So I think Arya might respect Sansa more now after this scene.
Maybe. Do you think that those masks are just shitty rubber masks?
Oh my god, they're so crap.
They're so crap. But I don't think the show did a good job of explaining this, but apparently in the book they explain how all this magic works. I guess it's got to be magic because it transforms your stature.
But she said something like, "I need to know your face to be able to wear your face." But then I'm like, where does the hair come from? Because it's just a face.
Yeah, they're just Halloween masks.
Yeah, well, like if she put on that Halloween mask,
how does she make them? How does this work? You spent a whole season there, having fucking training and talking in riddles, and nobody explained the logistics of any of this work.
Because it's inexplicable. Because how does she grow to Walder Frey's height? How does she get his dodgy haircut? And how does she get his voice?
Fine if the answer is magic, but they never even told us.
They didn't. Okay, but so anyway, Winterfell, dark shit going on, and no sign of Bran.
Don't like where this is
What's
going.
Bran up to?
I mean, Bran's the three-eyed raven. He's out of
the
little
tree.
time for this petty
Yeah.
quabbles.
Okay, and then we go to Dragonstone, where we only had 2 scenes. The first, which was really interesting because it was basically Daenerys and Tyrion falling out, like, quite dramatically, which I enjoyed.
I thought this was very interesting.
And then she says, Jon Snow's too little for me, no offence to Tyrion. And I'm like, who are you fooling, girlfriend?
Is that what you said to yourself?
Yeah.
In your head? I thought it was interesting what they said about fear. I thought there was... by the way, I thought a lot of the writing in this episode was super strong. Like, the dialogue was top-notch. Not only...
Yeah, some of the dialogue was strong, I'll give you that, but a lot of the coincidences were very weak and how quickly things happened.
Sorry, I'm talking just about dialogue.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think whatever...
Overall writing was a bit off.
I think we sort of discussed how the episode was just too condensed.
Yeah.
But there's just so many good lines in this. What I wrote down what Tyrion said. No, I didn't. He said something about fear.
He said, I wrote it down, fear is all Cersei has, but her power is brittle because, like...
Yeah, fear is brittle.
They're only following you because they fear
everyone
you.
below you wants to overthrow you. I thought all that stuff was great.
And he said
actually,
as well,
there's
Cersei would torture you in some horrible way and then kill you. When she says Cersei wants to kill me.
And actually, Arya had a great line earlier about fear. She said something about you're only acting. Sansa said you're only acting through fear and anger, and Arya said I choose anger. Or something like that. There was just some really snappy one-liners in this episode.
Yeah,
Not to mention all the great bants between everybody over the wall.
Yeah, there was great
which
bants.
We'll get to in a bit.
And I think what's interesting about this scene is that fundamentally Daenerys doesn't really trust him anymore. He's trying to take her up on burning Sam's dad and brother again. He's saying you need your vision to endure. You need to not be so reactive when people provoke you. And then he starts saying,
chill out, basically.
He starts saying, what's your succession plan? And I think she takes this really personally about her infertility and bites him when he actually, it just kind of means in general, what's your overall plan?
It's an insurance policy.
Yeah, but what's really interesting is here I thought
he's just being sensible.
They were talking about democracy because he said we need your vision to endure. So I thought that was really interesting. He's not so much talking about her, who's going to take over the throne from you. He's saying your overall vision of like a democratic world.
Yeah. Which is interesting. Yeah, I think the new world that they're all describing and they hope for, I love all that, and I love that they're aspiring to something better.
But she's pissed. Do you think she's pissed at him because of the infertility thing, or because of? She does also say at the end, it's basically your fault we lost Dorne and Highgarden.
Which it kind of is.
Yeah,
but,
it is
a bit bitchy. I mean, it's a bit bitchy of her. She is still in charge, and she sanctioned the whole thing.
Yeah, so this scene is harsh, and what's really interesting is that you can see in the scene like how much Tyrion believes in her. He's got that thing that everyone has. He's like, you're amazing. We need to keep your vision, but instead he just really offends her. And then we've only one more scene with these two, where basically it looks amazing, and she's getting on the dragons, and he's like, please don't go, do nothing. If you die, we're all lost. But she doesn't trust him anymore.
Can't she just send the dragons off by themselves, no? She has to be there to control them, I guess.
I don't know. That was one of the things I was curious about.
Will some studious book reader explain that to us, please?
I think what was like really stood out to me, aside from the amazing shot as she flies away in the scenery here, was her hair, her coat and her makeup. Like insane. Like it's like she literally spent 8 hours getting ready for battle. She could not have looked more exquisite. And her beautiful dragon brooch.
I saw quickly on Twitter somebody described her as Elsa from Frozen.
Yeah, she basically looked like that.
Side by side.
Like that hairstyle she has would take 5 hours to do.
Come on, we're short on time. We've got to talk about everything that happened beyond the wall, the meat of the episode. So this stuff was, I mean, first of all, they shot all this in Iceland. I looked it up and it looked amazing. Absolutely incredible. Like it's like Lord of the Rings
stunning,
level.
Yeah.
Just from the off, the just the men on a mission walking those long helicopter shots of them walking through these mountainous areas.
It was like full winter. Winter has come.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Winter is finally here.
And interestingly, last week my little sister Elizabeth had thought that more people were with them, but it didn't appear that way.
Yes, it did.
Well, I was confused. Not a horde of people though. Just there was a couple.
No, but there's nobodies because there's red shirts there. There's loads of people who were just there to get.
They were just bear fodder.
Yeah,
basically.
Which I thought was a little bit cheap. Let's talk about this very quickly. I thought it was a bit like Game of Thrones. Now that it's out of George R.R. Martin's hands, effectively. I mean, he's still involved.
Well, I think he's guiding the overall story.
He's guiding it, but he's not the showrunner and I think they have a lot more control over the story, and they've lost their teeth, they've lost their balls. They're not killing any. They're 2 seasons from the end. They're 2 episodes from the end of the second last season ever. We've got 7 main characters up there, and only one of them died. I'm sorry, and he's not even a main character.
I mean, I thought that. Do you know what? I felt so much threat throughout this, where I thought Thorman was going to die. I thought John was going to die. And then in the end I was like, do you know what? Actually, none of them are going to die, and I'm not going to be concerned. There's no peril for me. Jamie survives the other
absolutely
battle.
Backwards. Yeah, with the Jamie thing, with the Thormund fake out, and Jon Snow's fake out was completely pointless. I know we've jumped ahead a little bit
here. Yeah, but it's Jon Snow though. What I do question,
why bother?
Before we get into this, I don't know though if the Jon Snow thing's different, because Jon Snow's like the undead.
Yes, but sorry,
can he die?
What was gained from Jon falling in the ice and then going away in the dragon?
And then he does his
he did his thing again. All that happened was Benjen showed up because the night is long and full of Deus Ex Machinas.
It was basically a Hail Mary.
Like, so many Deus Ex Machinas. Like, the whole dragon thing, Deus Ex Machina. He just came out of nowhere for no reason. Like, why didn't he show up earlier?
Yeah, it was
He
lame.
showed up at the exact same moment, exact right moment he needed, put Jon on a horse, and off he went, and then he presumably died. But then, what was the point of any of that? Because Jon was back with them 30 seconds later.
Yeah, it was so pointless. But listen, we skip ahead. We need to talk about the opening scene with all the amazing bands.
Yeah, so this is basically like
this is Thormund's moment to shine.
Thormund was amazing.
Yeah.
The Hound was amazing. I think those two were great together. I want them to have a spin-off show.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Where they rent a 2-bed apartment together in New York City or in King's Landing. That'd be amazing.
That would be amazing.
Because Thormund, as he said, has never been there because he thought Winterfell was too hot.
I just love when he said down south smells like pig shit, and John's like, you've only ever been to Winterfell. And then Thormund gave Jon really good advice, where he said you should bend the knee because, that's what good lords do.
No, well, he said Mance Rayder never did, and look where he got.
And did you see a lot of IKEA rugs again? Looking good?
Yeah, I love all that.
Jorah and Jon.
Did you see IKEA have jumped all over this now?
I know,
on
they
their
love
social. They've released instructions for how to make your own Game of Thrones rug.
It was
Game
interesting.
Of Thrones coach using
I also got the impression they were all designed for a casual stroll. Like, there was no kind of formation, or they're all just chatting. Jorah and Jon talk about Jorah's dad. Jon offers him the sword back. Jorah tells him to keep it. Jorah makes reference to the fact that your children might want it someday. And Jon it was really interesting after later on when him and Daenerys talk about her infertility. It's almost like this moment where Jon's like, and you could see that how much he wants children. So I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, lots of talking and not much walking.
But I loved all this. I thought all these scenes were amazing.
They were so fun.
We've spent 7 years with these characters, and you've learned to love them all. And some of them have been on the other side of the world from each other, and suddenly it's like wish fulfillment. I feel like the writers had a ball here, because they must have just sat down being like, right, we've got all these characters to play with. Who could talk to who, and what would they say?
And I enjoyed it all. It's just cynically now I'm like, it just doesn't really make sense that Jon and his band of men just like bumped into the Hound and these fire guys. And like they're all together.
I mean,
but don't get me wrong, I love the Hound and Thormund together. Like when Thormund's like just saying things to him like, I don't think you're truly Moon, you have sad eyes. And then he calls him a dick, and he's like, Dick, I like it. He's saying, I bet you do. And then he says, no, it's pussy for me. And then he starts talking about Brienne of Tarth.
I loved how he kept talking about Brienne like they were already together and they're going to have big, strong babies.
Actually says, you're with Brienne of fucking Tarth.
Yeah.
And then he says, I want to make monster babies with her. They'll take over the world.
But in a way, it's
that was fun.
In a way, to maybe critique it a little bit, the world of Game of Thrones has almost become too small now.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Because everyone's meeting, there's only ever, like in this episode, there's only 3 places that anything happens, and all the characters are there. And these 2 characters met, and of course, they know the same person.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like everybody knows everybody. So it is becoming a little small.
And they don't even look cold in the scene. I did write that down. And then the guy who died 6 times, whose name I don't know, says to Jon, the enemy always wins, but we still have to fight them. And then we see this arrow wheel mountain that the Hound had seen in the fire. So we need to get through this. We're taking ages.
Quick one. Loved the Hound and Gendry as well.
He tells him not to be a
stop
pussy.
moaning.
Or what does he say? Yeah.
He said, I'm not moaning. He said, your lips are moving and you're complaining. That's moaning.
That was fun.
That's whining.
And then they kind of get into a real blizzard type of scene. And again, we were like, wait, what's their
Zombie
plan?
bear.
So you're just going into a blizzard hoping to capture a White Walker that Cersei won't give a fucking crap about.
So that they can come down and prove to Cersei that the White Walkers are real. And to prove to Dany. Except, hang on. Turns out Dany can be up there in half an hour in a dragon and just have a look for herself, which is exactly what she did.
No, but to be fair,
so
the
whole mission was pointless.
No, but they weren't taking the zombie to prove it to Dany. They were
I know,
taking it for
but
Cersei.
couldn't she have just flown them all up there with the dragon?
Yeah.
This is a classic Eagles from Lord of the Rings situation. Like their mission made no sense.
Their mission was so fun. Now it was really fun when the zombie bear came
like-
in. We were like, zombie bear!
The zombie bear was great, very cool.
And it takes them a while to get into formation back to back, like not before a couple of the blow-ins had died.
I mean, here's another cop-out. When he attacks the Red Priest, I forget that character's name, and basically like eats his inside, and then he didn't die, I thought, you've done it again.
And I thought that was really lame, because he didn't die, right? And they cauterize his wounds with this like flaming sword. But then later on he dies anyway. So I was like, what's the point?
What was the point in having him?
And
I didn't get that.
I did enjoy the line when the guy says, you alright? And he says, I just got bitten by a dead bear. No,
that was a great line.
But that was just really lame. I'm like, don't kill this character. I don't even know who he is or care about him.
How cool are the flaming swords, though?
The flaming swords are really cool. But again,
so cool.
The flaming swords are cool, but this whole scene, and we did say we found it really hard to follow, but I guess in real life it would be really hard to follow if a bear was chasing you. But again,
they're in the middle of a blizzard. Yeah,
but this
of
is an
course it would
awesome
be hard
scene,
to
and this
follow.
is like 2 minutes in this episode because they've too much else to go.
But this is the problem. When people started getting killed, I was like, who is that? And there's like, who are these people?
And then we were confused in the next scene when the priest was there with Jorah. We were like, why is he here? We thought he had died.
No, I knew he hadn't died
hadn't.
because you saw him get cauterized.
I did like his man bun though, but I just thought, now this was a completely pointless scene. Him and Jorah talking about, he was the drunkest man you ever saw. And
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, but there was just enough banter. Like, they're in a really perilous situation at this point.
Will someone remind me of what battle they're referencing? And if we saw that, because I don't remember that at all. But I really enjoyed that. It was like, I thought you were the bravest man I ever saw. No, but I was the drunkest.
And then when they actually finally meet the White Walkers, it's really interesting because I didn't realise that there was a difference between like White Walkers and like just regular zombies, which you explained to me.
Yes.
I think you should explain on the podcast too.
Okay.
Maybe not everyone. Well, maybe everyone knows, but I didn't.
Okay, so I haven't read the books obviously, and I'm only just picking this up from what I've heard from podcasts and reading things. So please correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. But as far as I understand it, the White Walkers are the Night's King and all his guys, and they ride around on horses, and they're all like clean and dapper, and
they've got nice blue eyes. Yeah,
lovely
they
blue
look
eyes.
good.
And they seem to be sentient. They're the ones in charge, and they are able to turn the dead into zombies who are called whites, I think. I'm not sure if that's ever been mentioned in the show, but I saw it written down somewhere. And so they're basically the undead.
So they're drones, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And as we learned in this episode, if you kill a White Walker, you instantly destroy all the whites that White Walker turned.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
A big bit of information.
Which kind of makes it seem like actually it'd be quite easy, because if you just defeated the Night's King, you'd get the rest of them.
Yeah, which they essentially say in an expository fashion.
And then I was
on.
confused at this point, because all the Iron Men start fighting them, and like this is an amazing scene, but why don't they all have dragon glass swords after Jon went to all that effort of going?
See,
only
that's the other thing.
swords seem to shatter them.
That's the other thing. No. It seems you can kill a white with anything. And we
Yeah,
saw
but
that at Hard
there was
Home
a
as well,
different
because they're
effect.
just like brittle skeletons.
Yeah, but why don't they all have the dragonstone swords?
Oh,
Why?
I don't know.
Like,
Maybe John forgot to bring any. Maybe he hadn't. Maybe the mining had only just started, I guess, when he left Dragonstone. They probably haven't gotten any, because you got to forge those into swords as well, don't you?
Yeah, and I mean it was amazing because there was an initial small attack where they attack them, and again I had forgotten the stupid motivation. So I was saying, why are they putting a bag over his head? I don't understand. And Dave had to remind me, no, they're here to capture him, because I kept forgetting because it was so dumb.
You forgot their stupid plan.
Tormund punched one of them, which I thought was really fun. And then I love when they're like, run, Gendry, Gendry, you're the fastest runner. And Gendry seems to, I don't know how long they've been walking for, but Gendry seems to be able to run back in like 10 minutes uphill in the snow with his big rug on.
They walked for ages. But also, this bothered me, why do they know that Gendry is the fastest runner? They all just met. Did they have a race? Were they having
I have no
sprints?
idea, and I still don't understand why Gendry's there. I have no clue.
Because plot has to happen.
But
yeah,
why?
it was silly. And look, while we're addressing that, let's address this whole series of events, okay?
So basically, Gendry's Forrest Gump. can run as much as he wants, uphill with the bloody IKEA rug on him
Doesn't
in a
stop,
blizzard.
only gives up when he reaches the wall. He's 5 meters from the wall and he gives up.
Yeah, but to be fair, I think adrenaline carried him there at that
Okay.
point.
So Gendry runs to the wall. The wall sends a raven.
Yeah.
Okay, so the raven then...
Which is faster than an email.
Oh, fine. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Faster than an email. The raven travels all the way down to the very south, which is Dragonstone.
No, the Dragonstone isn't very south.
Well, whatever.
Because it's
Wherever.
relatively near King's Landing.
Yeah, King's Landing is the most south, isn't it? Like, of whatever, not Dorne and all that.
Oh, right, okay,
But
you
like,
mean of
you
that
know,
part of the
there's
world,
that
yeah.
part of the Westeros. And Dany and Tyrion read the raven. She decides, right, get on the dragon, flies the dragon up. And all this seems to take place at least overnight. But it's
I
like...
got the impression it was that they were on the ice for a couple of days.
Maybe. But I mean, come on, this is part of the problem of things just being
Yeah, it was...
absolutely
And
condensed.
look, again, we're being... I guess we don't want to bitch every episode about the timeline. But basically... They're all in the kind of in the middle of the ice in this rock formation. Like, it was so cool when the zombies were attacking them and started falling through the ice.
It was really good and scary.
It was scary. And then
so...
the priest dies, and I was like, who cares? I thought he died 5 scenes ago.
Yeah.
Like, it was such a crap death.
But like nobody died. This is really upsetting.
Yeah.
But so chilling when they're all just standing around and staring at them, wasn't it? It was like absolutely terrifying.
It was terrifying. And
Like,
then, you know,
really
when they're
cool.
there overnight, the next morning, and the priest is dead, and they say, oh, we need to burn his body, which again, I was like, this is neither the time nor the place. Tormund says, oh, you can make, how can you make fire? And the guy lights his sword up, and Tormund's really surprised. And I'm like, but you saw him do that when you were fighting them in the last scene. And if you were all camped overnight on the ice, freezing to death, why the hell didn't the guy light a fire for them then?
What a great point.
Yeah, it was just like, why are you letting people freeze to death?
Yeah.
Though I still maintain Jon's undead and can't freeze. And then Jon's so noble, like in the midst of all this fighting, Jon's still trying to claim his stupid prisoner.
Yeah, but if they don't do that, then the whole thing was worthless. Like, well, that would be awful. Then the man would have died for nothing.
I guess.
Like, the
And
prisoner
then-
is the absolute goal.
So after the priest dies and they apparently burn him, we see the Night's King watching them, which is really cool.
That was cool. But then the Hound starts chucking stones at them.
Yeah, why is he
Why did he
antagonizing
do that?
them?
I mean, I guess they're all going a bit mad. They've been there for a while.
It made no sense, and nobody said, after all the banter earlier, nobody said, what the fuck are you doing, Hound?
Yeah,
They were all
chill
just
out,
like,
man.
oh well, let's fight now.
Chill out, Clegane.
And then it was really scary, the zombie he threw it at, I think. That he had no skull and stuff. I thought that
He
looked
was cool.
amazing, yeah.
I thought, but hats off to the effects team. This whole thing was done amazingly. The way they all just walked into the ice. They were falling into the ice. And just so many extras with the makeup is top notch.
It looked incredible,
It was
and when they
so,
all
so
started
cool.
falling in the water, that was such a spectacle. But again, so much was happening, and then Jon telling them to fall back. The Hound
And then the
saves
Hound picked up a
Tormund.
hammer.
The Hound had
That
a
was
hammer.
cool.
But then it's like,
Hammer
oh,
of the
Tormund's
Hound.
gonna die. No, oh, Tormund doesn't die.
They should have just let Tormund die. Let someone die. You
And
can't.
who were those disposable ones? Someone fell off a rock and died, and I was like,
who
who's
are these
that
people?
person?
They should have not had all these bullshit red shirt characters, and what they should have had is just the core 7 people, and then the stakes are higher because we're going to start losing some of them, and who's it going to be? And that's what Game of Thrones used to be, and I think it's just lost all its teeth. It's really upsetting.
Yeah, and then
Upsetting.
basically by the end, there's just the
I'm
core
taking this a bit
characters
seriously.
left, the ones who we actually know. The dragons to the rescue! Woohoo! Great. So
Oh,
again,
you got our message.
yeah, so stupid.
Good
Now,
on you, Gendry.
So basically, that's of course a visually stunning and beautiful moment, but a bit of an eye roll from me.
Oh, but the dragons are also arrived at exactly the moment that they were needed.
Yeah,
as
exactly
well,
the
when they
moment.
were, like-
Now again, Daenerys looks like
that's
an
fine, it's a TV
angel from the heavens coming out in this white coat.
Yeah.
Like, she's incredible. Like, if Jon didn't love her before this moment, she is just unbelievable. And this is when we suddenly went, wait a minute, is one of these dragons going to get turned into a zombie?
Yeah.
We never thought that before.
As soon as the Night's King picks up a spear like a Winter Olympic medalist, and that was a great shot, wasn't it?
I mean,
that's a gold medal.
what made
shot.
no sense about that shot? Okay, first backtrack. We really need to hurry this up. So firstly, backtrack. Jon decides to leave all his friends who were on the back of the dragon about to go and run into the battle fighting.
Yeah.
In typical Jon Snow fashion. Everyone's like, Jon, what the fuck are you doing? Come on.
What
He's like,
was he doing?
Go without
So they
me.
had. Here's the thing.
Well,
They
he doesn't
had.
say that, but he's essentially saying that.
They had the prisoner loaded up. Everyone was on the dragon. The dragon was ready to depart, your dragon is now leaving.
Yeah.
All aboard.
And Jon goes to fight not even the
What's
white.
he doing?
Not
He's
even
just-
to fight the Night's King, to fight like a shitty drone zombie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He absolutely deserved the death that he didn't get.
Absolutely deserve it. And then the Night's King, who is awesome, instead of shooting the dragon that they're all on, shoots one in the sky. So he could have taken them all down.
I guess he just. No, sorry, that happened. He took that dragon down while she was still in the air. That hadn't. You've got your timeline.
Oh
mixed
right,
up.
okay. Sorry, I'm so confused by
He
the whole
just
battle.
picked a dragon. They were all in the air.
But it was really sad when I thought it was amazing
when
when the dragon died.
and
yeah.
he was spilling blood everywhere. It was really sad.
And it looked amazing.
I thought it was quite upsetting.
We keep using the word amazing. It looked very spectacular. So I thought all that was really, really cool. And then Jon just like falls into ice, but to no peril at this point. It's like, oh, fine, whatever. And then
I looked at my notes here, and all I wrote was "Get on the fucking dragon, you twat," and I've circled it 4 times.
I was just wrote, "Can Jon get hypothermia?" Because I'm confused. Like he basically was in ice water, and then came out into the snow again in his sodden IKEA rug. And then, oh my god, when his uncle showed up, who first of all you had to remind me who that guy was. I was just like, this is dumb. This is stupid.
Yeah. But like, what a waste of that character's return and then death.
But then
And
why
they only
didn't he
introduced
go
him
with
one
Jon?
other time.
Why
with
didn't he
Bran.
just go with Jon then? Why did he send Jon off on the horse and he stayed behind? Again, made no sense.
Oh, look, it's so pointless, this whole thing.
So the next scene is at Eastwatch and the dragons are crying and oh my god, Jon's back? What a surprise as a viewer. Literally 2 minutes after we see him get on the horse, Jon just shows up on a horse. Now I know there'd be some warmth from the horse going to his body, but at this point Jon would not be alive. And then it's awesome because she sees his scars and she realises.
Oh, I actually thought the scene with him and her was brilliant.
I loved it, but
where
that's
he
what I
basically
mean.
says,
This scene should have been the climax of the episode, but there was so much of
but
the
it was
stuff.
underwritten by everything else because so much had happened.
Because also Arya and Sansa should have been the climax of the episode. So
I know.
2 huge moments were kind of. I mean, don't get me wrong, this was not overshadowed, and I cannot wait to go on Twitter and see what everyone wrote about.
I thought it was a great scene. I thought just the whole thing of like don't call me Danny, and it says I don't know what to call you other than my queen. Like
oh, so
lovely.
beautiful. And
But
the
like,
first thing he says when he wakes up, and this is why Jon is a lovely person, he says, "I'm so sorry."
yeah, because she
about the
lost her
dragon.
dragon.
Yeah, and he knows.
he understands because he's got that Targaryen blood. Whether
Yeah,
he knows it or not. Yeah, I thought this was a really, really.
And he's
good
like,
scene.
"I wish you'd never come," and she's like, "No, but I'm glad I saw." And they're holding hands.
Yeah, it
and
looks like you're probably going to get your
I'm
your
definitely
weirdo
getting
wish
it.
of these two getting together.
And then when he says, "My queen," and then suddenly there's like this beautiful kind of Lord of the Rings music. Like, and then I've just written, "Do it," because I wanted them to do it so bad.
Relax.
But it wouldn't have been appropriate. Like,
He's gotta bend the knee
her
first.
child just died. He's really ill. Whatever.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
even-
we've really got to finish.
Okay,
this up 'cause we've gotta get
Eastwatch.
to
It
the
ends with the dragon being dragged with chains. Now we both said, "Where the hell did those chains come from?"
yeah, what are they like? Where did they get
Why
these
do
chains?
zombies have
Practically.
chains?
So they've been walking this whole distance of like wherever they came from down south. They've been doing that for 6 seasons now. They've been walking
With
They've been
chains.
on the march. Who's got the chains? Do they?
And they were heavy duty. There was at least
Did they go and get the
1,000
chains?
zombies per chain, and there was how many chains? 6.
And it must have taken them ages to set that up.
And
And then
then-
who goes down to train the dragon? I guess do they have scuba diver?
They
White
must have scuba
walkers?
dive zombies. And then, I mean, it was an
Anyway, the whole
incredible
thing was
moment.
amazing.
Incredible
It's
moment when the
so cool.
zombie dragon opened his eye.
I
And
mean,
it
we
all
knew
blue.
it was coming as soon as we saw the chains and the big hole in the eyes.
But it was a fantastic closing shot.
It was worth it. Amazing.
And now we need to think, okay,
It's the promise of that, isn't it?
does the dragon now breathe ice? That's what I think is going to happen.
Oh,
And it will literally be ice and
I don't
fire
know.
against each other.
That'd be so cool.
And also then, you know the way there was like a prophecy where 3 of them would ride the dragons, but now one of them's dead. So Jon and Daenerys will ride 2 of them. But who ride the dead one? Would it be the Night King?
Yeah, the Night King.
Or
That's
would
gotta
it be Bran?
So cool.
Because he's kind of dead.
Probably. Bran's not dead.
He's dead in his heart.
Oh, you mean Jon Snow?
No, I mean Bran.
He's dead in his
Like,
heart.
can't he take over bodies of animals and stuff? I don't know. I think it's either Bran or the Night King. Oh, you're right. It could be Jon
Why
because
would
he
it
is
be
dead.
Bran? He doesn't even have the use of his legs.
No, because remember there was something that I had read that someone said before. He was like,
Oh,
prophesied you'll never walk, but you'll fly.
Oh, of course, because Bran can control.
Yeah, when I was
animals with his
googling
mind.
hashtag Bran once because I was hate googling him, I saw that prophecy.
He can warg into the
Yeah.
Anyway, this whole thing was cool because it's the promise of that fight where it's dragon
It's gonna
versus
be, yeah,
dragon
like,
and
and
ice
it-
versus
it
fire.
really weakens
and it's going to be
Daenerys.
amazing.
Um,
And I don't think we're going to get that until next season.
the other thing I want to talk about the Jon Daenerys plot is, so basically, John's like, oh, I bend the knee, whatever. I'm madly in love with you. I think the stuff Sansa and Littlefinger have been talking about with the men kind of brewing against John, those men aren't going to want to bow down to Daenerys, right?
No, there's a whole other bit of convincing to happen there.
Yeah, but then I thought maybe she'd let him be king of the North. Or why don't they just get married?
I don't know. Can these are all questions for another time because we've really got to go.
Okay, we really got to. And then one other thing I want to say is Cersei's not going to care. So all this was for nothing.
But that's what we're going to get in the next episode, is them showing this to Cersei. I think she's probably going to pretend to go along with them. Then she's going to spring her trap, and shit's going to go south. And I'm really excited.
Somebody needs to die. And I say this like as someone who likes the characters. Like either the central core 5 characters, right? Cersei, Jaime, Tyrion, Daenerys, and Jon. Now, if they all survive this next episode when they're all together in King's Landing, obviously we know Sansa's not going because she sent Brienne. Like, what's the point then? Like, there's just no peril.
They have to do it.
And
Please
Cersei
God,
has to do something really badass.
Okay,
really
we gotta
badass,
go.
But we gotta
Thank
go.
you for listening. Please let us know your thoughts. This was a really fun episode.
Oh, and we're going to do a poll of Tormund's best quotes from the episode on Twitter.
Yes, because he had some really
good ones.
Or the Hound had some good ones.
The Hound
as well.
had some good ones. We'll do some quotes.
We'll figure something out. Go to our Twitter page. We'll put a poll at the top. And search us, The Cinemile, on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. You can email us, thecinemaile@gmail.com.
And you can go on iTunes if you haven't already done it. And please subscribe to us, and we would love a review because that really helps us get found.
Right, and now I have to run.
Yeah, okay.
Bye.
Bye.